Thanks, Dan. I love it when the robot tells you. And anybody else that enters will hear that. Dan, can you go to the next slide?
Yep.
So welcome to everyone. If you're new and don't know us, my name is Hillary Olson. I'm the president and CEO of the Rochester Museum and Science Center, which is now the RMSC. And Dan Schneiderman is here with us. This is actually his project, and he's the Eclipse Eclipse Partnerships Coordinator here at the RMSC. And if you haven't noticed it, we're really excited, and we've been working on this for years. So we're excited to sort of share with you a new opportunity that we've received that really is not our opportunity, it's an opportunity for the community. Next slide. So the RMSC, and if you've seen the application, if you haven't, then you'll have a chance to do that and we'll talk through it. The RMSC is looking forward to the April 8th, 2024 total solar eclipse. We know that we will have at least 500,000 visitors to our region. We know that we will experience totality in a total solar eclipse, which Dan will go over in a few minutes, exactly what that is. And we will have a moment for our entire community to get together and celebrate. We will have a moment for Rochester and the 9 counties to really shine and show what we can offer as far as a tourism destination. And we will have a shared experience that is positive. And one of the things that I have been thinking about a lot lately is that many times when people across the United States or across the world have a shared experience, it's typically a negative experience. And we are looking forward to this eclipse as a positive shared experience. It happens to revolve around, no pun intended, revolve around STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. But what we're trying to do is create just a positive shared community experience in STEM and also decentralized STEM learning. So our other goal is, we know that based on the 2017 eclipse across America that we didn't have totality here in Rochester. We didn't have a total solar eclipse. When a lot of people come into town, resources are strained. People are looking for services. There's traffic jams, things like that. We are trying to avoid that as much as possible by pre-planning across the last few years, 3 years, 4. But we're also trying to decentralize STEM learning in that you do not have to come to the Rochester Museum and Science Center to experience this total solar eclipse. You can experience it anywhere in our region, and we want to embed science ambassadors all across our region and communities in order to say, hey, our library, our community center, our restaurant, whatever it is, we are ambassadors for the eclipse. We have the tools necessary and the training necessary to support a festival or a party or a celebration of this eclipse at our site, so that there's no reason that you have to go anywhere. You can just experience it from where you are. So we have some other goals about deepening our own connection with our community. And we are leading other science centers across the path of totality, which goes in the United States from Texas all the way through Vermont, and I think a little bit of Maine. And working with them to lead them in this community eclipse ambassador type programming and this model. Go for it. Dan, back to you.
So hi, everyone. It's great to see so many new faces here. One of my favorite things to say now is the total solar eclipse here in Rochester is officially next year. Admittedly, I've been saying this since January 1st at 12:01 a.m., but it's a fun thing to say, and we are counting down the days. So a little bit of detail, a little bit of background on the eclipse. So Monday, April 8th, 2024, we'll get to experience a total solar eclipse right here in Rochester for the first time since 1925. And the eclipse, when the moon starts to cover up the sun, takes place at 2:07 p.m. But the main show starts at 3:20 p.m., give or take a couple seconds, depending on where you are standing in the region, when the sun is completely covered by the moon, causing this deep dusk in the middle of the day for 3 minutes and 40 seconds or 3 minutes, 38 seconds. Yet again, depending on where you are, you gain a couple seconds if you go out to Brockport, you lose a couple seconds if you go a little further out, and we have a good map to show you in just a second. And then the moon finally exits away from the sun at 4:33 p.m. So as I mentioned, moon passes in front of the sun, casts a giant shadow, and it's that shadow that covers us. We'll be going more into detail about this later on. For those who've never seen a total solar eclipse, this is one of my favorite photographs from the AAS, the American Astronomical Society, that they've shared. And this is what you should be able to see right here in Rochester on that day. Here's a general map for the entire eclipse. It doesn't just hit the US. So, well, back in 2017, that was the Great American Eclipse. A lot of us have called this the Great North American Eclipse, as it does in fact hit Mexico, the US, and Canada. Starts down Mexico, moves its way up. And then one of my favorite things to show is it hits Cleveland, Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse. Or to get a up-close look, here is the view. Anywhere in between the two blue lines that you see here on this map will experience totality. This is a lot of us. This is probably just within the greater Rochester region, probably about 1 million of us. And that is just one of those incredible things that we get to share. As Hillary mentioned, it is one of those greatest positive shared events that we will get to experience together. So there's lots of other things that you'll get to experience during the eclipse. We won't go too much into this. We will be sharing this out, but one of the two of my favorite things to point out is the temperature will drop and animals and plants will act slightly differently. So, number one question I get whenever I talk about the eclipse, literally, not only when I talk about the eclipse in Rochester, whenever I talk about the eclipse or anywhere in New York State, what happens if it's cloudy? Well, it will still get dark. The eclipse will still happen. We cannot change the date. We cannot change the time. We really can't change the weather. No matter what, it will still happen. So it'll still get dark. You may not be able to see it, but you will still experience it. It's a very physical and emotional and spiritual event. So part of why we're talking about this, and part of the reason why we have this ambassador program, why we're making a big thing out of this, is the next total solar eclipse here in the US won't happen until 2045. What's even crazier is the next total solar eclipse in Rochester won't happen until 2144. So if a kid is born on the day of the eclipse, their grandkid will be around here in Rochester to experience it. We do have a partial solar eclipse later this year on October 14th at around 1:15 p.m., give or take a minute. Only about 25% of the sun will be blocked off that day, but is a great opportunity to host mini events at your own organizations. It's a Saturday in October in the afternoon. Who else could ask for better time? That's just going to be a great day. So as part of the larger effort here in the greater Rochester region, we do have a website, and I did update this logo earlier today. So we are 431 days away. I highly recommend you explore it. Hopefully a lot of you have already started poking around on the site. We'll have lots of great resources. We already have lots of great resources up there. We'll have even more in the future. We do have Eclipse art here for Rochester, and you can kind of see it behind me as well. So we do have this lovely poster designed by Tyler Nordgren, who's an Ithaca resident and does all these Eclipse posters all over, not only in the US, but all over the world. He's done them from NASA. He also does state park posters, national park posters. Fantastic resource. And there is this larger Eclipse Stakeholder Taskforce right here in the greater Rochester region that's co-chaired by the RMSC, the Genesee Transportation Council, Visit Rochester, and Kids Out and About. We also have museums and galleries, wineries, breweries, distilleries, parks, restaurants, universities, event organizers, government officials. It is just this ever-growing list. And we highly recommend getting involved with this group as well, because there's a lot of big overall things that we're working on. Everything from, all those transportation issues that Hillary mentioned, working with the schools, making sure that people are informed. We're trying to get that region as ready as possible. Because when it comes down to it, literally everyone under the sun is a stakeholder for the eclipse. I will also say literally everyone under the moon is as well, and I often get groans at that. So that kind of leads us to the RMSC Community Eclipse Ambassadors. So this is one of our initiatives here at the RMSC that we really want to get that word out. We want everyone in our community to be prepared. So as part of the program, you will be going out into your community and really spreading the word about April 8th, 2024. So back in 2017, not everyone might have heard about it until the last second. You might not have known about, hey, maybe in passing you heard this on the news or on the radio, one way or another. We have that 431 days to make sure that everyone in the region hears about this. And so we need all of your helps to, go to festivals and events, hold info sessions within your own communities, and just go anywhere your organization is serving people. We want to get people excited. The next chance that we get to have this here in the US won't be for 20 years. It's not exactly, I don't want to say a once in your lifetime, because technically eclipses happen all over the earth about every 15, 18 months. But to have it in your own backyard, it's rare there. And I mean, who wouldn't want to go out and see it? We will be doing a half-day training. We're going to get you all prepped so that you can go out and talk about the eclipse. And we want you to help organize your own viewing events, your own celebrations, getting your community ready using some of the activities that we'll be providing, telescopes, and helping. If you could help distribute those glasses, that's important. And I will say, the audience is literally everyone in your community. I've had a number of people come and say, hey, is this just for kids? No, this is literally everyone in your community. Think about your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues, anyone who you work with or see on any given day. All of them will get to experience the eclipse. So what every ambassador organization will receive is, frankly, a lot of things. And I actually do have some of it behind me, including one of our telescopes and a sun, moon, earth model as well. So we'll be providing telescopes, solar filters for those telescopes, which I have example here. Sun, moon, earth models, eclipse solar viewing glasses, materials for you to view the partial phases of the eclipse. We actually, as you can kind of see here, one of our examples of colanders, which are one of my favorite ways to help view the eclipse. We'll have training for 2 of your members. We'll have a pack of eclipse activities. We'll have t-shirts, stickers, signage. And Hillary, did you want to mention the stipend? You have to unmute yourself.
Unmute.
1 second. There we are.
There, thank you. I was like, I think I did, but it didn't work. So each organization will, out of the 50 that we're able to select for this project, will receive a $1,000 stipend. That $1,000 will go to the organization in service of the eclipse at your organization. And we've elected not to have control over that. So you could use it to purchase additional materials. You could use it to support staff or volunteers at your space. You could use it for water bottles, for the day of. We're not taking control over that, but we are also not distributing that $1,000 to individuals. We're distributing it to organizations. So part of the work that we'll do is creating that institutional plan. You know, $1,000 is not enough if you want to get new, 15 new telescopes or something like that, but it's what we could afford within the grant that we received. Lindsay, no, the telescopes are not being rented or loaned. They will be given to the organization with the expectation that they will stay forevermore at the organization, not at any individual's, not with an individual, and that the organization can use those telescopes at any time. Part of the training is to understand that solar viewing, looking at the sun, is not something that you can only do during an eclipse. You can, if you have the right tools, you can look at the sun on any given day and learn about it, using your telescope with a solar filter, using the glasses that you will have, and the other tools and activities that we're going to be providing.
And those telescopes don't even have to have the solar filters on them all the time. You can use them at night as well to look up at the moon and the planets, or should we get a nice evening like last night at the comet that's currently out.
Yeah, and we will train you how to do that. So we won't leave you in this, in the lurch about, I have a telescope and I don't know what to do with it. One of the things on our goals sheet earlier in the presentation was we're creating a community of practice. And that is on RMSC to continually support the organizations that are with us through the ambassador program, to make sure that you are using these tools as much as possible with the individuals that you serve.
And just to answer, I'm only going to do one more question from the chat. We'll do more questions as they later on. But would you have the materials in time for October for the partial eclipse? Yes, heavily yes. In fact, we're going to heavily encourage using that day as a good test day for your equipment and for activating your communities.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of you have already heard this. We are looking for we're looking for organizations that represent different communities, businesses, municipalities, anyone who serves the greater Rochester region and the 9 counties. That does include Monroe, Genesee, Livingston, Ontario, Orleans, Seneca, Wayne, Wyoming, and Yates. All of us are in totality. That covers a lot. We are looking for community centers, youth service, organizations, recreation centers, neighborhoods, places of worship, libraries, municipalities, businesses that serve large groups, restaurants, wineries, hotels, after-school programs, art organizations, and museums, and more. We definitely have not thought about everyone, nor do we have enough room on a slide to think about everyone.
And indie bookstores, Henry.
So the general expectation is that you go out and really help represent the eclipse in your own community. We will be requiring a half-day program that will be taking place here at the RMSC, most likely here at the RMSC Strassenberg Planetarium. Where basically we'll teach you how to use the materials, how to talk about the eclipse, telescope training, all sorts of fun things. That yet again, we can't go into full detail as that would take a while. We do ask that you either host or support an event that's taking place for the wider public on the day of the April 8th, 2024 eclipse. The more people that are out and about, the better quality people get to help view the eclipse. We do ask for help. Yes. Hillary?
Sorry, I'm reading the questions as they come in. One of the things that the ambassadors are going to create is that community of practice working together. And to answer your question, Nate, yes, we do anticipate that the community ambassadors, as they work together, participate in the training and this other sort of, it will be some sort of a mixture of online and in-person conversations, that you do partner together. And that's one of those beautiful outcomes that we hope to create, is anything that you want to do, if your organization can support it. It is a beautiful moment for any organization to work together with any 1 or 17 organizations to make it happen. We're supporting this arm of it, but anything that anybody wants to do is a huge boost to this whole project. And it's one of the happy outcomes. I'm sorry, Dan.
Not a problem. We will be asking that people, participate and promote the Eclipse in at least one community event outside your organization. This could be at festivals or events, farmers markets, public markets, cultural festivals, concerts. And please let us know if you are out and about, because we want to promote you. We want to support whatever you're doing, get that word out. On our website, we're currently in the midst of making sure that it all works without any bugs. Is a method for people to add the events that they'll be promoting the Eclipse at or hosting their own viewing Eclipse at. We really want to promote you. And we will, in general, if totally not mandatory, we will be asking people to help us out at larger events. So we're putting in applications for the Lilac Festival, for Canal Days, Harbor Fest, Jazz Fest, all of the big ones across the region. And admittedly, there's only one of me here at the RMSC. Any help is appreciated, not mandatory, just a massive thank you, huge high fives, all of that. As a quick note, because no matter what, we're getting this message out every second we can, for Eclipse glasses or solar viewers, because you don't have to use them yet again during a total solar eclipse, you must wear Eclipse glasses to directly view the eclipse. You can take them off for that 3 minutes and 38 seconds during totality, but not a second more. And that is part of the message that we will be working together to get that word out. And sunglasses do not work. You cannot stack multiple sunglasses against each other. You cannot use them by themselves. They are just not strong enough, and that's a quick way to damage your eyes. The glasses that we give out to all of you are for distribution for free to your communities. So any glasses that we give out through the ambassador program cannot be sold. It is completely free. We will say people will lose glasses between when you give, if you were to give them out this summer, or possibly in between the October eclipse and the April eclipse, that happens. Expect some people to lose them. That is just the nature of the beast. And we'll probably start distributing glasses mostly in the fall, but we will give you some to start off with. And one pair of glasses can cover a family. You're not going to be staring up the entire time. That's a good way to get a sore neck. We know that from experience. So one pair of glasses can cover like a family of 4. So I know a lot of you have already applied, and we'll drop the link in the chat in just a few minutes. But if you go to RochesterEclipse2024.org, under how to get involved, you will see RMSC Community Eclipse Ambassadors, and at the bottom of that page, you'll find a link to a Google form for you to apply. Applications are due February 15th, and as we mentioned before, we only have enough spots for about 50 organizations. Some organizations we will ask that you band together and work in groups. I think of libraries, I think of schools, I think of different competitions. We want you to work together. So there will be other opportunities in the future. We'll be notifying selected organizations by March 8th at the latest. If your organization is not selected, please don't worry. There will be additional opportunities to work together to help promote the eclipse. No matter what, yet again, we all will be within totality, and there will be more opportunities to order solar viewing eclipse glasses, solar viewers and eclipse glasses from the RMSC in the future. So with that, I'll say, you can find us on social media. We have a newsletter that we haven't sent out much yet, but we will be sending out more as we get closer to the eclipse. And then I think in general, any questions? Stop.
So I have an answer to a few right now. So I think it's Terry Lynn. How do we apply for this? I hope that one slide that pointed to the Rochester Eclipse 2024 website You caught that. If not, Dan, if you could share that webpage in the chat, that would be great. And then for orgs that don't qualify, will there be an opportunity to still get curriculum materials? Yes, yes, and yes. What we want to do more than anything else is to make sure that everyone has an opportunity for a safe, amazing experience. So everything that we develop that we're giving to the ambassadors as a packet of curriculum materials and ideas will be on the website for download. There's a couple activities that are already up there, and Dan is like he said, he's a one-man band, but he's working on making sure that there's more curriculum added, and there will be a bunch by the summertime. So there's different activities, and like I said, all of the activities that are presented to the ambassadors will be free and available for download. We want to make it as much free and available as possible. The organization that gave us the grant to be able to do this with the 50 community ambassadors has, it's the Simons Foundation through one of their projects called the Science Sandbox. And, they have generously donated the dollars to be able to do this. Those are for the hard costs. What it's covering for the 50 organizations is the cost of the telescope and the cost of the glasses and the cost of the t-shirts and the solar filters and the everything. So we can't go over 50 for that reason. We may be able to, and this really does depend on Dan's capacity and how this is working forward, but we'll know by the summer. We may be able to have other training sessions where an organization purchases a telescope from us and we would give it to you at cost. So, and we are getting them in bulk. So we just ordered 50 and got a better deal than if we had ordered 1 or 2. So the organization may be able to purchase a telescope, purchase the glasses from us, and we would give them the training necessary. We don't have all of those plans fully fleshed out because it does come down to the capacity of one Dan Schneiderman, who actually seems like he has unlimited capacity, but I don't always know. So I hope that answered some questions from Lee and Luke.
I see we have one hand raised. I'll see if I can unmute you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm Santosh Kurine from Rochester Institute of Technology. And during the last partial eclipse of 2017, I coordinated with ASRAS, and we measured the blockage of the sun during the partial eclipse and studied the effect on the photovoltaic solar panels. So we have a lot of solar farms in the Rochester area. I would like to measure the decrease in the energy during the time eclipse happens. So that's a very interesting study because it gives us some new information. And I will like to carry the same study this year. When the eclipse start to happen, we will calculate how much power loss will happen on all these photovoltaic solar panels in our area. So we can talk to some of those solar farm companies. And I also do study at my campus on the solar panels. So it's interesting that, and we also do some studies on how the spectral response shifts during the eclipse, how the solar radiation is affected. So I could share some of the slides from my last experience of 2017, but we like to do that. And I think that will be very interesting to do along with, so how we can relate the solar coverage with the decrease in the power.
If you can email me at dschneiderman@rmsc.org, let's talk. That is definitely something for us to start discussing.
Yes, it will be a big dip in the power, and grid has to be prepared for it. So mostly the grids are preparing for it already, that sudden drop in the power generation.
Yep. We have been chatting with a lot of people about everything from the power to transportation to hospitals. We are talking to everyone, but let's continue this offline.
Okay.
I am very curious to hear more.
Yeah, I'll send you my slides for the last eclipse.
Perfect.
And IEEE is interested too, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. So they would also like to participate in your program.
Perfect. Actually, to take that on a larger scale, if you know another organization who would be a good fit, please send them the application or email us. We want them involved. One of the big things that we are working towards is we know we don't know everyone. We don't know who we don't know, and we really rely on your help for making introductions or passing the word along. That's been one of those great opportunities that we've already seen, is just people spreading the word of like, hey, this would be a great fit. For the event information, you can send it to me. We'll also be sending that information on how other people can get involved.
Dan, can you talk a little bit? I'm going to share the Total Solar Eclipse website in the chat. But can you talk about where on that website that people can find the application?
The application for the ambassador program?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me pull this up. I will share.
Sorry, I'm not seeing it front and center on the website, and we might need to
I will make that update
think on that.
today.
Thank you.
So when you go to the website, if you go to Get Involved, and then you're going to scroll down to RMSC Community Eclipse Ambassadors, click on that.
Okay.
Scroll down and register for the Zoom, but that Zoom's going on right now, so that link will disappear in a second. But you'll actually hit apply today, and then that will bring you to the application.
Okay, so Sarah, and I think somebody else earlier said, when will we announce who have become the 50, one of the 50? We will be reaching out on March.
By March 8th.
I knew that. I was just checking to see if you did, Dan. To the 50 organizations, and we will be announcing it soon after that. One of the things that we are working on is making sure that geographical, that we're not just saying we're centering this in the city of Rochester, that we have geographical reach throughout the 9 counties. We're also making sure that we are, as much as possible, reaching underserved communities. Maybe community groups that wouldn't typically have the dollars for a telescope and all these other things are going to sort of receive that higher ranking. But that sort of rubric is being developed by Dan right now, and some of that has to do with the grant funding that we received from the Science Foundation. Actually, Dan, there was a question I saw earlier. How much is a telescope? Do you remember roughly? You would need the telescope and a solar filter.
I think together they were about somewhere between $250 and $270. Yet again, that price got brought down because we ordered in bulk. We actually did order a few extra more just in case things happen in transportation, or we know what happens when like if a kid runs by a telescope, sometimes things happen. We did order a few backup and some that we can have here at the RMSC.
And telescopes are a funny thing. I mean, you can buy a telescope for $50 and you can buy a telescope for $50,000. So that, it really depends on what you want to get out of it. A basic telescope could be less than that, but remember that whatever you're doing, you have to have a solar filter that attaches to that. And because you never, ever, ever want to look at the sun through a telescope. I mean, you don't ever want to look at the sun anyways, but through a telescope would be a big deal. Very bad.
Also say we did think through a lot of this and say, yes, we're also getting carrying kits for all of these telescopes. Carrying telescopes can sometimes be a pain. We thought of that. We do have specialized bags made just for them. Yep. Everything will fit in your car as well, no matter what the car size. For those who have seen some of the larger telescopes, don't worry, we're not giving away, we're not doing the 40-50 pound telescopes. That's a big no. Even for the sake of us having to lift them.
And Michelle added the actual application link to the chat, and whoever you are, Michelle, you're the best, because I didn't do that, and that makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
For confirmation, if you send me an email, I can confirm back to you. Email right now is the best way, just so that I always have it in my list.
Thanks, Anki. Are there any other questions about this opportunity or about the eclipse in general? You know, one thing I can say is that the Strassenberg Planetarium, which is part of the RMSC, will have an eclipse show. We'll have an eclipse planetarium show that will come out somewhere, I'm going to say in the fall, but you know, August, fingers crossed, but definitely by October, to actually like what is a solar eclipse and what does that mean for us and things like that, that will be available for the public running through this summer or fall all the way through and maybe a little bit past the total solar eclipse in April.
You can also find some details on our quick facts page, for which we have a lovely video embedded from National Geographic about what an eclipse is. It's a really good 101. There's a lot of great videos thanks to 2017's eclipse. If there's anything we are thankful for, is that we are not reinventing the wheel overall. There's a lot of great resources out there.
I see it.
Someone.
Sorry, I see another question about whether you have an outdoor space suitable for 50. The question was phrased, do you have access to an outdoor space suitable for 50? So access might mean you have a community partner or a church across the street or whatever you have that is willing to partner with you to lend their space. If the answer is yes, the answer is yes. So it's not just about you having that space, it's about having access to a space that you could hold at least 50 individuals. You know, and we're hoping for 500 or 5,000, but we know that different places have different things. But you could also, you know, on that day, it could be a parking lot. It just needs to be outdoors. It would have to be a safely cordoned off parking lot. But whatever it is, you have to be able to see the sun. And the sun's actually at that moment pretty high up in the sky. So unless you're in the middle of downtown, down on the ground, there's a really great chance that you'll be able to see the sun from wherever you are. And if you are in the middle of downtown and you can't see the sun, maybe you have access to the roof of your building or a neighboring building.
Actually, on that note, no matter what, everyone here on April 8th, 2023, the few days before and the few days after, should go outside at 3:20 p.m. and start thinking about your location, start thinking about where you might want to view the eclipse, start thinking about who you might want to experience the eclipse with, and just know that the sun should be in about the right position. I see Dan Kibbett has their hand up.
Hi, Dan. You and I met probably a little more than a year ago, right after we started talking about this at one of our local churches to talk to some of the folks in Parma and Hilton in regards to this eclipse. Since we're like right on the center line, what I wanted to make sure of is that we had applied to become an ambassador as the Chamber of Commerce, but there are many organizations within Hilton that'll probably want to do this just because of where we're at. I see Jim Scheibel's here from the Lions Club. But I'm not sure if like the school system had applied, I'm not sure if the recreation department in the town and in Hilton had applied, but we want to make sure that you know that no matter, we got to get somebody in that program, but we will all work together to pull this off, especially the school system, huge parking lots, access to a lot of things that the community can get involved with, especially the town rec center. That's there and it's huge. Literally the town rec center is going to be on that line. So we wanted to make sure that, when you take a look at this, pick one of us so that all of us can work.
We are definitely taking geography into account. It's not about necessarily that center red line, but somebody in Hilton, Parma, Hamlin, all of those spaces, we definitely need to have that representation. I actually have been invited to talk to the Clarkson Town Board, I believe, on Tuesday through legislator Jackie Smith. Yep. I'm a Rockport High School grad, so I have she and I went to high school together, but that I actually have a personal passion for that. That doesn't mean that we're going to choose based on that at all. But yeah, somebody from that area is definitely going to be a part of this. And we're not, just one clarifying thing, we are not working with schools or school districts on this, and that's an outcome of the grant that we have.
Okay.
So it was not about schools.
Doing after school programs.
Yep. Yeah, an organized after school program, an organized, a church-based or any other after school program, or even if it's the chess club or the astronomy club, totally would be within the realm of possibility, just not schools directly.
Okay.
We should have other educator resources yet again coming in the future. If anyone ever needs to do updates for your applications, yet again, email me at dschneiderman@rmsc.org. We are working with higher ed education. One of the great things about the larger stakeholder task force is there is a university, a college and university subgroup as part of that. They're all working together. They're all discussing plans, sharing resources. If you need an introduction to them, please, yet again, reach out to me and I'll help make that introduction.
And Dorothy, I just actually put in the chat for you, but if you could answer this, if you said you're a school club, is it the club that put in the application or the school? I don't know where Dorothy is.
Someone might have also had to hop off as well.
Okay.
We know that we're at 10, just about at 10:45 already.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Dorothy.
Will there
Yes,
be a list?
and we will
Yep.
be sharing out the list. So at some point in late March, I'm not going to slap a date on it because I don't know how that selection process is going to go. And if somebody drops out and we have another organization, things like that, it might be a little bit longer, but I can say late March.
I will say for other resources, if you're interested in like Eclipse postcards, let us know and like helping getting those out to your community. We do have some widely available right now. So yet again, email me, and I believe we're gonna start having the Rochester Eclipse poster, seen here, at our store within like the next week. I think our order literally just came in. And we will be providing at least one to every ambassador organization as well. But should you ever want one yourself? Question came up is materials in Spanish. That is one of those things that we want to do, and we need your partnerships. We really want to do that. We want to make sure that videos are captioned, that materials are in multiple languages. We need everyone's help. We need people's help to help pull some of that off.
And some of the posters and flyers we can have translated, but all the curriculum materials, I think, is something that we need to really talk about and figure out how to do that and do it well. We do not currently have Spanish speaking and writing writer on our staff. We have plenty of staff that speak Spanish, but they're not hired as writers. So that's a gap. Thank you, Grupo. Thank you, Pilar. I'm going to hold you to that.
Does anyone have any other questions? We will be sharing this information out later today to everyone who registered, and I'll probably toss it on to everyone who has also signed up already or sent in their application already. In summary, we are really excited about this. This is just the opportunity to work with so many people, the opportunity to get so much of the community excited. It is just one of those fantastic initiatives. I honestly come into work every day excited. This is just such a cool thing to work on, and to work with all of you on is an absolute pleasure. Any other thoughts?
Thanks to everyone for being here and listening, and we can't wait to see your applications. And and really get the community involved in embedding science where you are, not where we are. That's our main goal. Science is everywhere. Thank you.
Thanks all.
Thanks, Dan.